One of my work colleagues is a lifelong friend of mine. We lived on the same street growing up, went to the same school, and when I needed a job after graduating university, she made me aware of an opening at the company she worked at. I applied, got the job, and it's been quite a few years since and we still work together. It's a pretty small company, and quite male-dominated, so after we started working together we became really close. We take all our lunches together, we regularly stop by each other's desks for a chat, and we quickly became known round the office as inseparable. A year ago she got engaged to her long-term partner, and I was ecstatic for her. She had a really tough time a couple of years ago, 2 family deaths close together, and I did everything I could to be a good friend to her while she was in the worst stages of grieving. She cried with me daily for weeks and I made sure she knew I was always available to listen. I also took about a third of her workload off her voluntarily, so she could take days off when she needed to without stressing about her work building up. So now that life has gotten better for her and she's always smiling and excited, it's really nice to see. Ever since she got engaged, as expected, she's talked a lot about wedding plans, especially at our lunches. I know basically every detail. When she booked her venue she was really excited, but she refused to tell me where it was going to be, saying that she wanted it to be a surprise when the invitations came out. The wedding is 2 weeks away now, and I've long since stopped waiting for my invitation to show up. I know when they were sent because she told me all about delivering them, and shows me every day the gifts people have started to buy off their registry. I feel silly for saying it, but the more I think about it, the more hurt I feel that I haven't been included. It's a big wedding, and she has invited some other people from work that I didn't know she was even close to. She hasn't mentioned the reason why I'm not invited, and at this point I feel too awkward to ask. I guess it's just a slap in the face because I really thought we were close, and now I'm realizing that maybe we're not. The trouble is, since all this I've started to really examine our friendship, and I'm wondering if she even cares about me at all. I can think of 100 examples of where I've helped her work through decisions, listened to her vent, stood up for her when she's had issues with colleagues, etc. Even tons of little things, like if anyone brings in cake and she's out of the office I always save her a slice so she doesn't miss out. But I can't remember a time that she did anything for me in return. Now when she talks to me, I've realized she doesn't even listen to me. When I'm finished talking she just carries on with what she was saying before, almost as if I'd never spoken at all. If we're ever talking about me or something I've been doing, she never has anything to say. She just kind of nods and then switches the conversation back to herself. I'm starting to think she couldn't care less about me, she just likes having someone around who she can talk at, and whoever that person is doesn't really matter to her. I've invested so many years into this friendship, it's really cut me deep. I feel used. It's also made being at work incredibly lonely, because she was my only friend. I've stopped having lunch with her and any time she tries to chat I politely bring the conversation to a quick end and go back to work. She doesn't appear to have even noticed. I do still wish her well, I'm still glad for her that life has turned around and she's so happy, but I'm a bit lost. I'm not sure if I'm being too harsh because I'm hurt, or if I even have the right to feel hurt in the first place, as I know weddings have a finite number of guests and you have to leave people out that you would invite in an ideal world. But I'm not sure there's any way back from this either. Has anyone else had a similar experience? Am I being unreasonable or overdramatic? Should I just let the dust settle and see how I feel then? Edit 1. Just to clarify things that have been asked a lot or requested to be put in an edit. 1. She hand-delivered the invites to other people at work so I know it hasn't been lost in the post. 2. I haven't asked her about it because I'm a total doormat and scared of difficult conversations. And 3. I invited her to my wedding, but that was years ago so it's possible she thinks things have changed since then. Edit 2. This has got a lot more attention than I expected, and my first ever gold from a kind stranger. Thank you. I have read every single comment. Thank you all so much for taking the time to give me advice. You have given me a lot to think about. Opinion seems to be divided over whether or not I should confront the wedding invitation issue or just let it go. I am definitely going to make sure that it isn't a mistake, but as for getting an explanation why she didn't invite me I'm undecided. I'm going to have a think about that and the best way to proceed, but your thoughts have all been really helpful. In terms of our friendship in general, I'm not going to be too hasty to write it off. I'm going to try and put my feelings aside and see if I'm right about it being one-sided. If it is then I will have learned a good life lesson, and if I see it as worth saving then I'll have to deal with that the best way I can. It does seem the bigger issue here is my non-confrontational approach to my relationships. Some of your comments were hard to read but only because I know you're right and this is something I have to change. I've withdrawn from friendships before because they've hurt me and I've felt unable to say anything, and that's not really fair. It's a general problem I have with uncomfortable conversations. Whenever I have to have them I basically descend into a panic, my mouth goes dry, I shake and I can't find the right words to say. If it's a bad enough problem that I can't ask a good friend a simple question then I can't ignore it anymore and I need to work on this. Thank you for pointing this out to me as a real problem. I'm going to find a way to get better at it. I will post an update of what happens. Thank you again. Update. So it took me a few days to decide the best way to approach this, but yesterday I had lunch with her again and had the conversation. I started by saying, So you've sent all your invitations out now, haven't you? She looked immediately panicked by my question, and I knew right away that she didn't want me to go down this road. When she said she had sent them all, I asked if that meant she could show me her venue now. She showed me the website of it, including the photo gallery, and talked me through all about where everything was going to happen, all the flowers and decorations she was going to add, etc. It's a nice enough country hotel with some pretty gardens, but I'm not sure what all the secrecy was for. I probed a little more, asking who she's invited from work. The list didn't include me, said I was looking forward to seeing the photos so I could see how everything looked. She didn't correct me that I would see it on the day, and then I was completely sure that my lack of invitation wasn't an accident. She looked so relieved when I switched subject and asked if she's excited about her honeymoon and having a rest from all the wedding stress. So I'm definitely not invited. I thought it over carefully and I have decided not to ask why, for 3 reasons. The reason is already fairly obvious. She clearly doesn't think we're anything more than colleagues, and I've misread the situation. There were some other theories suggested, for example jealous husband-to-be, associating me with her past grief, but considering everything I know about her and our history, I'm sure it's not that. I'm not sure why she didn't cool it on the wedding talk with someone she had no intention of inviting, or even just bring it up with me and explain why I'm not invited, but never mind. Having an awkward relationship at work is the last thing I want. I'm worried that if I push this and turn it into an issue that I'll look pathetic and needy, or it will just be unprofessional. I also run the risk of her bad-mouthing me to colleagues and mutual friends, and I will find it much easier and less messy to handle my own feelings quietly. This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience for her, and I don't want to be the source of drama that dampens her spirits at all. I'd rather just let her enjoy her wedding, make good memories and not bring her down. And you know, I'm fine with not going. It was never really about getting invited to a wedding, it was more having to face the fact that I'd been naive and taken for granted, and I felt silly that I'd invested way too much in this relationship. That's not all on her, because she was never obligated to be my friend. Talking it through on my previous post actually really helped me work through my feelings. When I went back to work on Monday, I felt much calmer and more detached from it emotionally. I have looked back on our whole relationship and honestly she's always been self-involved, entitled and narcissistic. Being a bride has just made it more obvious, but it's always been there. She's also never given back to me, besides helping me get my job, which of course I'm grateful for, in that she's never been willing to talk me through any problems I've had, and although I help her happily with her work, she says no if I ask her for help in return. She has a few office enemies, and even though I saw her negative traits that caused her to be disliked by some people, I overlooked them and defended her anyway. Now I have put a little distance there. It's quite apparent that she's not a very nice person, and I'm genuinely okay with just moving on. She hasn't really noticed the distance between us so far, or she has noticed and doesn't care / is relieved that I'm giving her space, so I intend to just continue with doing that. If she eventually asks why, or I get the sense that she's trying to rekindle our friendship, then it will be time to clear the air with how I've been feeling. If she doesn't and we just continue drifting, then that's probably for the best. It's sad to lose a friend, and it will probably take me some time to get over it and to become comfortable with the change in our relationship, but I have other genuine friendships, and plenty of colleagues who are lovely people who I can get to know better now. The main thing I really took from my original post, and I'm so glad I did post because I needed some tough love on this, is that my fear of confrontation really needs dealing with. If I can learn how to better speak my mind as things are happening, that will stop things from building and building until I have to have a serious conversation and it makes what should have been a molehill into a mountain. I also need to figure out how to have difficult conversations without having an anxiety attack, which not only weakens my message but is extremely distressing and puts me off dealing with things and being honest with people. I had a couple of books on assertiveness recommended to me, so I bought them to start me off. I'm also looking into going to a coach, or maybe a couple of therapy sessions at least, to try and better myself. I don't want to hurt other people by doing this, so this has become top priority for me. Thank you so much everyone who pointed that out to me. I was aware of it, but I didn't think it was a problem and figured I'd just be that way all my life. Now I know better. Thank you for being so honest with me. Also, thank you to those who talked me through the one-sided friendship issue. I'm a good listener and have always attracted people who need to vent, but I only ever noticed the one-off conversations, and didn't think I was being taken advantage of as a long-term listening ear. I have been examining my other friendships in the last few days, to see if anyone else is using me in the same way, or if I've even been doing this to others and not had the self-awareness to realize. There are a couple of changes I need to make, including a friendship that I need to set some boundaries in, and another one where I've not been giving back to the other person as much I should have. I have learned a really valuable lesson from this about maintaining healthy relationships, and I'm very grateful for that. Edit. A few people have been asking about the books I was recommended. Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg, When I Say No I Feel Guilty by Manuel J. Smith, Why Men Love Bitches by Sherry Argov. Final update. It's been over 4 years since I posted my original story. I have received occasional messages since asking for an update, but I didn't expect to post one. However, My story was featured in a YouTube video yesterday, and I've had a flurry of messages, so let me tell you what has happened since. The colleague and I still work together. In the time that has passed, she has had 2 kids and took 12 months off for each, so she hasn't actually been around a lot. At first I avoided her. Looking back, I was being petty and giving her the silent treatment. I was hurt, and I wanted to hurt her back. Not my finest hour, but the joke was on me, as I don't think she even noticed. But then 2020 happened and we were working from home. Then she went on maternity leave, and by the time we were back together in the same office, it had all been long forgotten. At this point in time we are friendly. I genuinely hold no grudges, but I understand what our relationship is now. I don't overextend myself, and I don't expect anything more from her than chit chat. In the meantime, the company has grown a lot, and I have a good group of work friends. We go out for lunch, go to the pub on Fridays, and sometimes hang out on weekends. I have always had some wonderful friends, but now I have a bunch more, and these ones I get to see 5 days a week. One of the people in this group got married 4 months ago. Not only was I invited to her wedding, but also her bachelorette, party. I was on the photographer's list for an official photo with her, along with the other work friends she invited, and after a few drinks she gave me a big kiss and said she was so pleased I was there. Another one of them is recently engaged, and although her wedding is a while away, I have already been informally invited, without having to ask. And my colleague has another work friend that she leans on now. When things upset her at work, I'm no longer the person she comes to for a rant or a cry. I'm totally fine with that, because it was an emotional drain. As for me being a doormat, I have grown a lot as a person since then. For a start, you really do just care less as you get older. Hitting 30 did wonders for my self-esteem and inner peace. Secondly, I have grown in confidence. I used to be terrified of letting anyone down, so I overcompensated. It took time for me to realize I am actually a really good friend. The more people I meet who like me just as I am, the safer I feel being authentically me. With this growth in confidence, I started using my voice a bit more, firstly just with little things. When nothing bad happened, it got easier. I could speak freely without being afraid of losing friends. There's been no major drama, but I believe if there was I could handle it much better. Some of the messages I've received have been asking for advice, so here's my 2 cents that I learned from this whole situation. Healthy friendships have a balance of giving and taking. If you look back over the history of a friendship, and the balance is unevenly weighted, you should address that. Can you remember the last time you did something thoughtful for a friend? Or they did something for you? Who normally reaches out first? If you live a distance apart, who makes the effort to travel? Who do you spend the majority of your conversations focused on? Would you call them if you were in trouble? And if you did, do you think they would be there for you? Occasionally evaluating your friendships is good for both of you. You don't want to be a taker, but equally you don't always want to be the giver, or eventually the friendship will run its course. Having said that, try to be objective and not hyper-focus on it. If your friend is going through a hard time, they're going to need you a lot, and probably won't have the emotional capacity to give anything back right now. But what are they like in good times? And if bad times hit you, would they step into the giver role for you? That's what counts. 2. Not everyone is going to be your bestie. Some friendships are casual. Some are just for a season. Some dip in and out of your life. Don't expect every friend to be the best friend ever, because that's simply not possible or practical. And there's a lot to be said for these other kinds of friendships. Some people are great fun on a night out, a good person to kill some time with, where they know how to lift the mood and get everyone laughing. These casual friendships might not have much depth, but they also take very little work and investment. You can enjoy people just as you find them, and when life takes you in different directions, it isn't painful to lose them. 3. Don't give everything of yourself to everyone. Pick wisely who deserves it. Chances are there are only going to be a handful of people in your life who you can trust and love enough to pour your heart and soul into. And when it's chosen carefully, it means even more, because they're so special to you. If you're currently grieving the loss of a friend who was never really your friend, I just want to give you a big virtual hug. It's not just painful, but also embarrassing and confusing. It makes you question yourself and all your other friendships too. But time heals, and you have true friends just round the corner. Take care of yourselves. Now on to the next story. Story 2. Girlfriend cheats on me with an engaged man. I dump her and ghost her, but won't give up. Partner started hanging out with a new friend group, which led to us drifting. Felt the breakup coming because of how distant she was becoming. Had a nagging suspicion and checked her phone to find out that she was actively chasing this guy in the group who was engaged. The story seems to be that 1. The guy was flirting with her. 2. She reciprocated and told him that we were broken up. 3. She started actively going after him. There were chats with her friends on how she should chase him. 4. The guy rejected her to stay with his fiancée. In July. 5. She was still texting the guy that they should stay friends, etc. I found out and gave her a chance to confess. She lied to my face that nothing was going on until I told her that I saw the messages. This was the first time I checked her phone in our 7 years together. Drove her and her bags to one of her friend's place and went NC. I was a wreck for the first 2 weeks, but I have actually been doing better than I expected since. Probably because I already subconsciously knew it was going to end. Even managed to go on 2 dates in the 3rd week. Anyway, the friend reached out after 3 weeks to say that she wanted to pass me some stuff. I agreed to take it off the friend, which ended being a couple of photos of us and an apology letter hoping for a second chance. I read it but didn't say anything, and now she wants to meet. Truth is, I still feel something and care for her, so I'll probably meet her. She is saying that we shouldn't throw this away so easily. But I hate how none of this occurred to her while she was doing what she did. I hate how she didn't even have the decency to come clean when I confronted her. And I hate how she made this entire year between us a lie. We can't ever work because I don't trust her anymore. I don't know how to believe that she isn't back just because she was rejected. And after almost 1 year of pushing me away, I realized I haven't even felt happy while with her this year. It just sucks that I know all this and still feel so SHT. My friends hate her now, and I also hate her friends because they were in the know and were okay with her behavior. Everything about this screams it wouldn't work. I know what I should and need to do. I'm just afraid I'll waver, so this post is just to hold myself accountable. I guess she will only do it again, especially if that guy breaks up with his fiancée. Keep her out of your life. She and her friends will only get better at hiding stuff, and she will only use you. She won't change. Your ex has no morals and has no problem cheating. Block her and delete her and ghost her. You weren't the one to throw it away. She did that herself with the emotional cheating. Don't meet with her. Only reason she's reaching out is she got rejected by engaged guy. You're her backup. She plotted behind your back with her and her fellow cheating enabling beaches. In fact, I'd tell the friends' partners that they support cheating in this low moral character and they boyfriends should be alert to them when they cheat. It'll just be emotional manipulation and a bunch of tears, and maybe self-harm. One ended up staying with an ex many years ago because she threatened to slash her wrists in front of me. In hindsight, I should have called her parents. Ended up staying with her for 6 more miserable months. When the trust is gone, it's time to bail. Keep it to text if you still need to communicate, but I'd even say go NC. You can do much better than this whole update. First of all, I'd just like to thank everyone for your replies in my previous post. I know I didn't reply to anyone, but believe you me, I read every single reply. Multiple times. I ended up not meeting her in the end. She reached out when I didn't meet her to express her remorse once again, but I didn't respond. Honestly, I thought about it, but when I picked up my phone, I realized I didn't know what to say. I'm emotionally exhausted, and really don't know what to feel or how to talk to her right now. A part of me is still sad about how things turned out, but I'm also better in the sense that I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Dating apps, and knowing that I still have a market helps, I guess. Although I'm also trying really hard not to lead anyone on, let them feel like I'm overly interested, don't think that'll be fair on the other party. Honestly, even being on the apps themselves feels a little wrong because I know full well that I can't offer anyone anything right now. Hopefully, with a little bit more time I can slowly wean myself off these distractions and truly work on myself. Anyway, I managed to stick to my NC and you guys played a super huge part. Each time I doubted my own decision, each time I felt myself wavering, and each time I felt like reaching out, I went through all of your replies and it helped reaffirm my initial decision and strengthen my resolve, so thank you once again. Good for you, mate. Focus on yourself, hit the gym, spend more time with your friends and family, pick up new hobbies and meet new people. She's already wasted 7 years of your life, energy and time, don't let her waste any more of it. Block her everywhere and live your life to the fullest. Wishing you the best, mate. Good for you. Stay strong. She is just a monkey brancher and was trying to secure her next person. Because it didn't work out, she was trying to keep to you. Now she wants to try to make it work after she threw it away. Also, don't you love when a cheater turns it around and says to you, don't throw away what we have over this. No honey, I didn't throw away anything. You threw it away the moment you told the guy you broke up. It was done the moment she said y'all wasn't together. She's trash and messy and she just wants you cause you're safe and she thinks you are a pushover. She obviously doesn't respect you.